And now I'm going to talk next about the Manson Block area across the street here that we're looking at. So the Manson Block, most of the properties we've gone past have been mixed use. The Kendall Hotel today has commercial and there's mixed use above it. These properties here, this is all commercial. No one's living above these commercial businesses. Like, it's commercial on all the floors. Upstairs, you're usually going to have lawyers' offices. U.S. Congresswoman Catherine Clark, her office is on the second floor here as well. So this building here, you'll also see the old TD Bank building in the corner as well. So one of its first ground floor tenants was the Framingham National Bank, and the upper levels was occupied by the Masonic Hall Lodge. Also, Framingham's Historical Society was located up here on the second floor of this building as well. Over there, if you want to pan over. Yep, that building on the end. So, yep. In 1927, the bank on the first floor bought the building's lease and demolished half of the existing block to build a new bank building, which stands next door. And you'll see it says the Farmers Mechanics building on the other side that's closer to Park Street and Franklin Street there. This bank building, which is it's bought, but it's currently vacant. It was completed in 1933. It's built in a neoclassical revival style, which is very popular in the 1920s and the 1930s. So that's the Manson Block there on the corner of Park Street and Concord Street. And this is the Concord Block, like I said. It's the first fully commercial block. And its steel frame was built in 1897. The Framingham Court used to be here as well. The Framingham Police Station, it used to be down on South Street, but now it was up in this building in the rear of the Concord building. And the Framingham Police Station then later moved in the 1930s to its current location on Union Avenue down there. Hi, good to see you. So we're going to talk next about the Amsden building, which is where Soda Cow is, which is very famous. So let's just walk this way. So this is Soda Cow. It's still open for dine-in. It has these beautiful facade project that it did. It was one of the first businesses downtown to take advantage of sidewalk activation, which we had tables out earlier this year before it got super cold like today. So this building was the greatest disaster in Framingham. It was built on July 23rd. On July 23rd, 1906 is when that happened. George Amsden, the retired produce dealer, he built this 3-story frame building in January of 1906, but then it fell down on July 23rd, 1906 while it was being constructed. The steel frame constructed and 13 men died. The developer, George Amsden, he actually broke his arm in this disaster. Now, this was an opportunity where the Hollis Street Fire Station would send the horses in to try to assist. So the horses, they had their fire apparatus, they're trying to fight the fire and help out with the construction, but it was very hard. So the Fitz brothers, which were very prominent in Framingham, they bought the remains of the building and they had it fixed up and all ready to go and rebuilt by 1909. This is a mixed-use building, so above here you're going to have apartments. Those apartments were renovated and opened last year in 2019, actually, last spring, which was really cool. All right. So we're going to keep going here. This is BRZ Insurance. They have a really beautiful facade here that I really love. Let's see more. This is Elegance Beauty Salon. They have a really cool little car for kids to get their hair cut in, which is kind of neat. This business also just fell under new ownership, which is great. Here's the Framingham Clinic that has been closed for a while. This is 113 Concord Street. Here's another business that's under remodeling. This is Brazuca Store. Like I said, they have the paper up, so they're going to be working on doing some new things during the next year, 2021. So it'll be exciting to see how they choose to renovate. We're going to be doing a retail roadshow soon, and Bargain Depot is one of the businesses we'll be highlighting for that. This business is called MG High Tech, and they actually do classes for people to learn how to use Adobe Creative Suite. They fix drones. They really teach people web design, computer and software training, and their classrooms are actually on the second floor too, which is cool. So John J. Prindiville, like, he built all of these buildings, and you can really see the parallel structures between the Hemingway building on Union Avenue and then the Arcade and the Mulaney buildings, which are more on Concord Street here. So George Fitz, we just talked about George Fitz, and you'll see the name Fitz Market over here bearing their name. George Fitz said, "Builder John J. Prindiville laid 2,000 bricks a day with his own hands. And as for the future, you can always bet on Framingham." That's a really cool quote from George Fitz, so thank you, Mr. Fitz. So the Arcade and Hemingway buildings here, John J. Prindiville, he built them. He's from Palmer, Massachusetts. John moved to Framingham in 1898 to build the Hemingway building, the Wilsonia building down here, which is where Panza Shoes is located. John built the Mulaney building, which we just went by right here with Bargain Depot and MG High Tech. And then John J. Prindiville, he built the Fitz building, which is where Atlantis Dental is located, this beige building. The Armory we talked about, which is where the police station is. Then he also helped to build the Framingham Union Hospital. We'll go down by the Prindiville building, which we can't really see at this angle at this moment. The Arcade building, the Memorial building, and the Hemingway building. These two buildings are 17-bay building, mirrors the Arcade building. So if you look at the Hemingway building, you should be able to count 17 bays, and it should be very parallel to the Arcade building in the way that it comes out. These are both built in that neoclassical revival style. So when we just talked about the old TD Bank building, we mentioned the neoclassical revival style. You can kind of see it has those sharp edges along the pillars. It's not rounded, it's very ornate, but very sort of severe in its look, very uniform in its look as well. And these are very popular in small urban commercial areas, again, in the 1920s and the 1930s. So neoclassical, it really ended around 1940. And sometimes it was called the Beaux Arts architecture. And it's really more toned down, like I mentioned, from the ornate Beaux Arts style. You'll see those porch height pillars that I talked about, symmetrical facades, very sharp edges. That's all that neoclassical revival style. And then also in some cases, you can see a rectangular overhang. We saw a rectangular overhang when we were going past the Oddfellows building. And you'll see one over here. It's not lit up, but there's a rectangular overhang coming out from the Hemingway building as well. So it's neat to look for these different elements of the architecture that was created then. So they built most of this earlier. John J. Prindiville built most of it. And we're going to go past Attitude Fashion here. This is Sweet Home Furniture. They're the company that's expanding into 20 Concord Street. And then these last few bays here, where you see Padaria Brazil all the way to Bronze Optical, these were built in 1936. It's an extension of the Arcade building that was finished in 1928. One of my favorite parts of the Arcade building is this passageway here. The Arcade building is owned by Vios Theodorakis of VTT. It'd be super cool to have vendors in here and sort of crafts like you would see at Faneuil Hall all year long. And maybe the other side will open here. Just turn this off. Oh. So you'll see up in here you actually have sort of a skylight element that's happening. So, and it's warm in here actually, there's some light here. So this is kind of a neat space. There's actually more businesses. For instance, the locksmith is here, and they've been open for a very long time in business. I would say at least 30 years. And so it's really kind of a neat hidden space that people used to run around in here for. Yeah. And he really built this intentionally to be a public walkway with skylights and shops. And it was like an indoor form of a shopping mall, and he really wanted to have that element part of this. All right, so let's talk about Framingham government a little bit while we're walking around and looking at some of these cool what up businesses. Framingham's first meeting house was in 1698, which is a requirement for Framingham to be chartered as a town. And the governor approved the charter on June 21st, 1700. Town meeting was held at Village Hall, which is over in the Framingham Center area. But then town meeting was held at the Elmwood Opera House, the Armory, and the Danforth High School. So there were a lot of places where town meeting was bouncing around, really looking for a home. This is Framingham City Hall. It's known as the Memorial Building. It was designed to be a memorial to veterans. And its rotunda contains a lot of bronze plaques, names of 2,300 men and women who were lost in the wars up to 1928. The committee responsible for building proposed a memorial to soldiers, sailors, Marines, and nurses of the town. So the town hall, its creation in 1918, Selectmen recommended the town purchase a triangle swath of land. As you see here, it's a triangle. It's bounded by Concord Street and Union Avenue and Lexington Street to the north, and buildings and monuments dedicated to the memory of those who served in the German War, also known as World War I. In 1923, 3,000 people attended a 5-night town meeting held at Town Hall. This is the largest town hall meeting held in Framingham, held in the United States at the time, according to a report. So Framingham, this was all designed here. The Framingham Memorial Building was designed by John Aston, and again, it was built by John J. Prindable. The groundbreaking was October 16, 1926, and it was officially opened February 22nd, 1928. It took 16 months to get it going and $494,000. At the February 22nd, 1928 dedication, 6 survivors of the Civil War attended. Surviving veterans of the Civil War received a standing ovation, and the new town hall had offices for town officials, a library, large auditorium, a fireproof vault, and a dining room in its basement that seated 1,000 people. So we're just going to walk a little bit more. I dropped my pen. Here it is. Through the main drag here. So this is Pottery of Brazil. It's been here through the 90s, and it does a really good job at keeping, a lot of people employed here, supporting the Brazilian community. And they have really good sweetbread. I really love it. And they're working hard to improve their exterior facade as well. And then we're going to come up here and go by JR&D Service because they have a great window display. I really like how they always put so much effort into their displays. So this property has gotten a lot of attention this year. Sofa Cafe closed in June. It was leased 2 months later. It's going to open as a fine dining restaurant after COVID ends. And due to the nature of the food, it can't really open during COVID. So it's going to be exciting to see that opening as well. And then we're going to go up real fast and check out a couple new businesses that opened. Our friendly police staff here. This is one of my favorite businesses. This is called Los Pinos, and they do a great job decorating. Oh, it looks like they're having a family party in here. So they've got a lot of lights up, and people are having a holiday party, it looks like, having a good time. And this is a really pretty business that just opened called The Chic Outlet. And also it's very nice, and they've done a really good job with the lighting and the ornaments. And across the street you have the Metro West Community Credit Union and High Sense Beauty and Fashion, which is really pulls in a lot of people from the Black community as well, and they have a lot of products that support them. So that was a very long tour. I hope you're not cold as I am, but please come downtown, spend your local money here, and let's keep these businesses going. I'm going to turn on one of the last tree lights here. I think that's a suitable ending. If I can find the button. There we go. Thank you so much. Have a great night.